Well, I'd like to welcome everyone to our first town hall for the College of Health Sciences. I'm Greta Cummings, and I am the Interim Dean for the College of Health Sciences. And it's a real pleasure to have so many of you out today. I'd like to acknowledge the University of Alberta resides on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis. This territory is a traditional gathering place for diverse Indigenous peoples whose histories, languages, and cultures continue to influence our community. To acknowledge this territory is to recognize the longer history of these lands, and it also signifies our commitment to working in good relations with First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples as we engage in our institutional work, uplifting the whole people for the University of Tomorrow. I would like to warmly welcome everyone to our first College of Health Sciences Town Hall. We have over 500 participants who've registered today, which shows remarkable interest in our college and the faculty's futures. At today's Town Hall, we are going through several updates as to our planning for the college, and also allow you to virtually meet the people who are beginning to work in the college structures or offices. We have tried to answer some of the questions that were submitted during the registration process, and we will also have a Q&A for the last 30 minutes. And Brenda Hemmelgarn, Dean of the Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry, has kindly agreed to moderate that Q&A session. I will remind you, although I'm sure that you are all familiar with Zoom etiquette, please ensure that your Zoom name is correct. Please also remain on mute, and you may also want to turn your video off, just given the number of people that we have in this meeting. Please use the electronic chat to submit your questions, and Dr. Hemmelgarn will be working through them as the meeting goes on. If we run out of time to address all of the questions, we will prepare answers over the next week or so and try and circulate those through our faculty and college communication channels. I want to begin by communicating my very strong support and commitment to this university. I have worked here for over 18 years now after completing my doctoral degree in 2003. And my master's degree in 1987, which was in the Faculty of Education Administration. U of A is my home, and I found that if you have a passion for an area of study, if you have a passion to lead change, to drive to succeed, then you can most likely find a home at the U of A. Our diversity and our depth is most definitely one of our most tremendous strengths. My goal is to continue to do this in the role of College Dean, supporting our shared mission no matter what the present and the future may bring. I see a bright future that strengthens our academic mission. We clearly have had our share of challenges over the past couple of years, one crisis embedded within another, from the budget to various waves of the pandemic. And I know that each of you have worked to adapt continually to these changes. And it's important to acknowledge also that we have lost some of our team members due to our financial changes that we've had, our financial challenges that we've had at this university, and some of our contextual circumstances. We also know that this is a marathon and not a sprint. The marathon somewhat being a result of the pandemic that we have seen, but also because of the ongoing transformation of the university through the service excellence and transformation and the academic restructuring, all of which should position us as long as we preserve our energy for the final hills in this marathon. The operating model and the college development is truly about supporting our faculties and our departments. It's not really the other way around, where we're expecting the faculties and the departments to support us. but the development of the college is certainly a work in progress, and we are going to be sharing this with you today. So our agenda for today is we're going to cover some of the University of Alberta for Tomorrow operating model and the beginning college structures. We will update you on our progress towards operational development. We will also introduce some of our senior service partners who have been appointed to their roles and discuss their roles. And some of the changes to expect in coming months, some future directions, and then of course we will have our questions and conversation. And unfortunately, we're also not able to have an audio speech language interpreter for today's session. No one was available for this meeting. Next slide. So this statement, which is on our website, reflects the overarching goal of the College of Health Sciences that was envisioned when it was established at the end of 2020, which now seems like a long time ago, but it was actually only about 8 months ago. And it's written almost in the form of a mission statement. And thereby it compels me to lead through the significant changes that we're all experiencing today. The operating model, again, and the college is really intended to support the academic work of the faculties, and we will review that further. First of all, I would like to introduce the college team and the Council of Health Science Deans. The Council of Health Science Deans was identified in the motion of the Board of Governors last December at the establishment of the colleges. And the College of Health Science Deans are an amazing collaborative group of deans who each have very large responsibilities in their faculties. So first of all, Dr. Brenda Hemmelgarn is the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry. Dr. Paul Major is a professor and department chair for dentistry. And Dr. Major has been very involved in the Health Sciences Council, which was a precursor of sorts to the current College of Health Sciences configuration. And so he's been a very important member of our Council of Health Science Deans. Dr. Shanthi Johnson is the Dean of the School of Public Health. Dr. Diane Kunik is the acting Dean of the Faculty of Nursing. Dr. Nick Holt is the Interim Dean of the Faculty of Kinesiology, Sport, and Recreation. Dr. Tammy Hopper is a professor and Interim Dean of the Faculty of Rehabilitation Medicine. And Dr. Christine Hughes is the Interim Dean of the Faculty of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences. Thank you. I would now like to also introduce, looks like Darlene has been working through probably some glitches in sharing the presentation. So now I'd also like to introduce two very important individuals within our college. Our college executive assistant is Shelley McDonald, and she comes to the college with over 20 years of administrative experience that includes 6 years in public relations and development, and the last 14 years in Tech Edmonton. And secondly, I'd like to introduce our college general manager, Susan Lynch. Susan comes to the college with 40 years of administrative services in government, a health profession regulatory college, research, a department within a faculty, and a non-departmentalized faculty. Next slide. I'd like to draw your attention to the University of Alberta for Tomorrow operating model. And this is an operating model that was released in June of 2021, just this last June. that is a framework that lays out how we will build our college and what the roles and responsibilities are of the university, the colleges, the faculties, and the departments. The decisions that we are making are based on this operating model, and as well with the input of the college, of the Council of Deans discussions. The decisions about how we are funding the colleges have been identified somewhat through this operating model as well. And more work is being done on that over this next month or two. The fundamental aspect of the college budget is that it is based on drivers of activity and work. Next slide, please. So in terms of preparing for the development of the college and the structures in the college, the Council of Deans has started meeting as of early in 2021, as soon as the college model was announced. And then the college, and they have meeting every week to lay out the background information, establish working groups, et cetera, which we'll go through. And then the college general manager and the faculty general managers have also been meeting weekly since their positions began in the spring. The recruitment of senior partners, which we will discuss further, and faculty partners is now well underway. And to let you know that our offices for the college, as well as the college offices, sorry, it's a bit of a tongue twister, for the College of Social Sciences and Humanities and the College of Natural and Applied Sciences are also located on the 3rd floor of ECA. And that has allowed our staff to meet regularly and for the college deans to meet regularly as we are planning through our work. Next slide. So as I mentioned, we started back in January, February to talk through how we would gather information about various functions and processes that are within each of the faculties. And then how we could, in fact, look at those activities and functions and work through some recommendations as to what could be supported by the college or at the college level, and what functions or activities would necessarily remain within the faculties. And so we've established some working groups to begin this work, and they have been working diligently over many months to try and identify some of these processes. Next slide. So the college working groups that we have started working with, some of the initial ones were graduate administration and programming within each of the faculties, research, administration, experiential learning has been an important one, building on previous relationships that each of these individuals had across our faculties. EDI and Indigenous work has also met several times and is continuing to meet. The international working group is also meeting regularly to discuss MOUs that each of the faculties have with other organizations internationally, and whether there is opportunities there to collaborate further, increase our interdisciplinarity, et cetera. Academic integrity processes that are undertaken within each of the faculties is another group that is just beginning its work, as it will align with the Office of Education. And as well, there's a working group for the Health Sciences Education and Research Commons, and that's also known as HCERC, which runs the simulation lab that is in ECA, and a number of other very important processes related to clinical placements for many of our students in a variety of settings, both within the province and outside of the province. And this group is also meeting regularly to work through their recommendations. Next slide. So we've been working on a graphic, a variety of ways of graphing what the college and the faculties and the interrelationships would be based on the University of Alberta for Tomorrow operating model. And so to begin with, we have this structure of the faculties within a college providing the core academic mission for the university and for each of their disciplines. And it is in the center of our graphic to show the importance and the true core nature of this academic work, both in research and teaching within and across each of the disciplines. Next slide. So then we envision that the college offices will actually support each of the faculties and the departments within the faculties by providing administrative services primarily that have been worked through with the SET program, the Service Excellence Transformation Program, so that each of these offices will provide services to all of the faculties and or departments and schools within each of the colleges. And we will go through some of the detail of each of these. Next slide. So the Office of Education is envisioned to provide shared student services, including coordination of student advising and a variety of processes around program progression, experiential learning, etc. And primarily administrative work that also relates to work integrated learning. The Office of Education oversees academic structures and performance with embedded graduate studies administration, and this will be delivered in partnership with the Faculty of Graduate Studies and Research. And we have received a lot of questions, quite a few questions related to student enrollment services and advising during the registration process for this town hall. And the visioning processes for student services across the university are still underway and should be released fairly soon for implementation planning. And they are otherwise still in progress. And for graduate studies, again, some of these administrative processes that are potentially envisioned to be in the Office of Graduate at the college level would be administrative processes related to managing supervisory committees, doctoral exams, etc. Next slide. So the Office of Research at the college level is also seen to really drive institutional research strategy and college relevant initiatives, and will include additional interdisciplinary activities. And the Office of Research will hold the Senior Research Service Partner, and which will connect the Office of Research very closely to the VPRI's portfolio, as well as then help to support the work within each of the faculties. And then as well, we have many strategic initiatives that are very important to the functioning of the college, as well as each of the faculties. Indigeneity is highly important and relevant strategic initiative that will require considerable work in terms of partnering with our Indigenous colleagues. We don't see that that we will be developing Indigenous initiatives on our own, but we will support the very important work that our Indigenous colleagues have identified. And as I said in the beginning of the town hall, we've had numerous ideas about how we could enhance the health of Indigenous communities, and as well work very closely with our partners related to respecting and honoring their cultures and histories. EDI is another very important strategy within our strategic initiatives area of work within the college. It will focus on faculty, student recruitment, and also continue with initiatives related to reconciliation. Some of our international work, particularly our multidisciplinary relationships and joint ventures with other communities internationally, will also be part of our strategic initiatives. And of course, interdisciplinary and professional education. We have had, through the Health Sciences Council, a very long and innovative programming around interdisciplinary and interprofessional education. However, we also experienced in recent years several hiccups in how those programs could be accessed by all of the students within health sciences. And so one of the things that we are planning going forward is to refresh our interdisciplinary and interprofessional education offerings to ensure that, that they're most relevant and we are able to embed them appropriately into particular curricula for our students to access. Next slide, please. So I've mentioned the senior service partner roles, and they are very key to the success of the operating model, and they are key from the perspective of being able to provide excellent service from each of their portfolios within the set streams. So our senior service partners will become a very primary source of knowledge that we can all draw on. The partners will share their knowledge from their specific area of expertise, and they will facilitate the service excellence that's required. Now, we have all certainly heard from Todd Gilchrist, the Vice President, who is in charge of the entire SET initiative, that we are in the period of a bumpy road in terms of the transformation of some of those processes. And I also want to indicate that the partners are very key in helping us navigate through this bumpy road and helping us to work through some of the service changes. So as part of their role, they will also provide feedback in all areas around the operating model in both directions, feedback to their central stream as well as to the college. Next slide. So I move back to the graphics, which shows our senior service partners in a number of areas for research, from the vice presidents of research and innovation from Amina's portfolio, through to the Office of Research within the college, and then to the faculties with embedded partners within each of the faculties. And then as well, there are service partners that will be working with us in advancement, communications, finance, HR, IT, and several of them are with us today, and I'll introduce them shortly. We also have senior service partners for enrollment and for student recruitment, and as well for FGSR, that is still underway. Next slide. And then lastly, we show through these lighter green arrows that we will also have college level partners that will provide support through the offices of education, graduate research, strategic initiatives, et cetera, that will be working within each of the faculties. So I'd like to introduce now our college service partners. And our first partner is Kemi Kufor Boyachi, and she brings to the college over 15 years of experience in accounting and finance, in public practice and higher education. Second is Li Kwang Chia, who brings to the college over 30 years of experience in finance and admin, in higher education, as well as private industry. Third is Pam Averill, who is our senior HR service partner. And she comes to the college with 14 years of HR experience in public sector, oil and gas, and now higher education. Next is Jim Bowen, who brings to the college over 20 years of administrative experience, including 11 years of academic and student program support. And then last but not least is Sherry Honeychurch, who comes to the college with 20 years of IT experience in technical and leadership roles. And several other search processes are nearing completion. So we should, over the next coming weeks, hear about our senior service partners for communications, advancement, research, and graduate, etc. Next slide. So a few more changes that you can expect to see in coming months. I mentioned at the start the development of the college budgets, and this is currently being discussed at Dean's Council, and will actually be discussed this week at Dean's Council once again. And we also are very keen about developing college strategic priorities, and the Board of Governors has asked us to present our priorities for the college at their meeting in December, which is coming up very quickly. So next slide. So several of the potential college priorities that we have heard from our discussions within faculties and at the Council of Health Science Deans, and even from tweets and a variety of other sources, are first of all, as I've mentioned, Indigenous and First Nations, Métis and Indigenous health. Our health systems have certainly shown some systemic racism and bias. And this is something that we can also tackle through our reconciliation efforts with our colleagues. And so this is a very strong area as well of improving our students' experiences who come from First Nations, Métis, and Indigenous communities within all of our programming. Secondly, strategies for enrollment growth. We've heard the president identify on several occasions his strong interest in undergraduate degree in health sciences. So we are currently doing background work, and I'd like to thank Connie Winther and Shelley for pulling together some important information around what do other programs offer in their health sciences degrees, and what competencies are we interested in for a potential program in that regard. As I mentioned, we have a refreshed interprofessional education program listed as one of our priorities. We want to continue to work very inclusively with the dietetics program, which is in AILS and has been in AILS for a long time, but they're a very important part of health sciences. So we are clearly building bridges across colleges, not walls. We are also very keen in continuing to support very robust interdisciplinary research programs that address the entire spectrum of human health, from wellness through disease prevention, management, care, cure, all aspects of human health and wellness. And of course, it's a big priority to reinvest administrative savings back into the core academic mission. And that's what we expect we'll be able to do as we bring about efficiencies in our administrative processes. And I'd also like to ask if there are any other priorities which you can chat to us or you can send me an email at any time if you have ideas about what we should be focusing on. Next slide. So we have 4 additional questions that came through our preliminary registrations. And at this point, our first question is, how will enrollment management responsibilities be allocated between the RO, the college, and the faculties? And I'm going to ask Jim Bowen if he could respond to this question.
Thanks, Greta. Like a lot of the questions you'll be asking today, this is a work in progress, of course. The hope is that in many ways, this isn't going to look a lot different. From the faculty perspective, the dean will still work with the provost to set enrollment targets, formulate strategies to reach those targets internally. So how you allocate enrollment within your faculty amongst the programs. And we'll have authority over the tactics, things like admission averages, recruitment strategies, things like that. The registrar's office will continue to provide administrative support and develop processes such as admission processes and records processes to support enrollment management at the faculty level. The college will, I think, provide support for the faculties and play a collaborative role, try to promote collaboration amongst the faculties in areas where that makes sense. That might be something like recruitment strategies, for example. My role is to be a connector primarily, I think. I'll help build an enrollment management plan that will take into account the needs of all the stakeholders in this process. It should be integrated, it should be data-driven. The other piece that I can help with is program development. So as we talk about a new undergraduate degree program, for example, in health sciences, I have a lot of background in developing academic programs across campus and can provide a lot of administrative support in those sorts of regards.
Thank you so much, Jim. The second question is, will there be research IT support provided at the college level? And I'd like to ask Sherry Honeychurch to respond to that.
Thanks, Greta. I think that inside of the College of Health Sciences, the faculty general managers right now are providing a list of activities or areas or tasks that may require research IT that are possibly not provided currently by IST. So I think once the needs have been sort of identified, we'll be in a much better position to determine if resources are required and how those resources could be leveraged at the college level. Ultimately, the goal would be that the faculties would be able to share on those resources and we could leverage off of those across the entire college. So there's still some work to be done, gathering some information, and the faculty GMs within the Health Sciences College are looking at that right now.
Thank you, Sherry. Our third question is, when will we see the transition to support research administration? And Susan Lynch?
Thank you, Greta. The transformation of research is underway. They have hired their director of partnerships, Julie Stevens, and the senior partners are currently being recruited. I believe interviews are happening. They hope to have the partners for the faculties in place by the end of October. Julie and Denny Fontaine, who's project manager in research, met with the senior administrator group a couple weeks ago to give an overview of research. And Julie has also reached out to meet with our faculty general managers. So she will be meeting with us to talk to get information on what the needs are within our respective faculties for research administration. And in relation to the Office of Research, the working group continues to meet.
Thank you. And the final question is confirmation of vice dean and associate dean locations and confirmation that academic leadership will remain within the faculty. This question is being addressed by the Academic Leaders Task Group, which is chaired by the provost. And they've been doing a great deal of work over the summer and had hoped to have everything finished by the end of September. It's not quite. There is another meeting this week, and I'm not sure if there might be one more after that. But within our college, there are several people who are representing various groups and are participating very actively on this task group. So I think you're being well represented. And as soon as we hear about what the outcome is, we will share it. And we don't know right at the moment. So at this point, I will hand it over to Brenda to.
Great. Thank you very much, Greta. And thank you for your leadership and your calm and steady approach as the college is established. We really appreciate that. And for the great overview that you've provided today. So now we're going to open it up for questions. You can put your question in the chat box. You can send it directly to me or to the president's office, and it'll be forwarded over to me. And I will ask the question and the relevant person to answer that question. And the first one relates to student support services. So Greta, that might be one for you. And this is a question that came up was a common theme in the submitted questions as well. And it says, can you give an example or examples of student support that will be covered in the college?
The kinds of processes that are envisioned to be in the college are primarily student advising kinds of processes so that students can get specific information related to programming, et cetera. And then if there's any further information, they may be referred again through to the faculties. And additionally, there will be processes related to handling academic integrity issues that will be provided through the Office of Education at the college level, which we are hoping across the university will also provide more consistency of approach to specific issues around students' academic integrity and discipline.
So it sounds like some of the more common types of support services at the college level and the more discipline specific than at the faculty level.
Yes.
Thank you. The next question, I think Sherry, this might be one for you. This relates to digital transformation and technology. So with significant changes in higher education and the unique needs and student demands of experiential learning, how is the College of Health Sciences going to support digital transformation?
Well, that's a big question. I think that IST, I suppose it would depend on your definition of digital transformation. I know that IST is very dedicated to be able to find the right resources and the right fit for how we're going to make those kinds of transitions. There's the creation, of course, of the IT partners that it's our role to be advocates for the colleges and those inside of our portfolio to bring forward sort of strategic initiatives for the IST team to be able to implement and move forward. So I think there's a lot of pieces. If I could reference earlier, there's a lot of moving parts as we kind of decide this. And I think with all business, and we're in the business of teaching, there's many steps forwards and a few steps back as we sort of realign. I use my GPS, recalculating kind of thing. So I think it's an exciting time. There's no set answers, but I know it is really important to the university that we are transforming our digital footprint. So.
Yeah, an important area for the university overall. Thank you very much, Sherry. The next question relates to research administration, and you touched on this a bit, Greta, but this one is a bit more focused in terms of the question. And it says, can you comment on the hiring and research contract services? These have traditionally been seemingly understaffed, leading to extensive delays in both hiring and in setting up research contracts. So this is about contracts specifically. It'd be great to get an understanding of how SET will alleviate these previous challenges. So this is with respect to the hiring and research contract services. I'm not sure if that level of detail has been provided, but any light you can shed on that, Greta?
Sure. This is something that I've heard has been an issue in a number of faculties, colleges, et cetera. And I do know that the VPRI, Dr. Amina Robinson Fayak, is including this as an important area within her portfolio to ensure that there are agreement specialists and contract specialists within the VPRI who can respond more quickly than what we've experienced in recent years. So this is a priority for the VPRI's office, and we will probably hear more about whether certain components of that will be within the college research offices or not. But for the moment, we're waiting to get our senior partner, as Susan had mentioned earlier, and then we will have a better sense on the negotiations related to that.
And we should also be hearing soon about the structure of the VPRI office, which will also help to inform that too, I understand.
Yes, I understand that the structure has been approved through the President's Advisory Committee and should be announced fairly soon. I don't have an exact date, but should be announced fairly soon.
Thank you. The next one relates to what we've heard the President speak about a lot, and that's enrollment growth. And the question is specifically, how will we coordinate development of new programs, such as undergrad programs, between faculties that are all pushed to increase enrollment and may have partially overlapping or competing interests or topics? I wonder, Greta or Susan, if you might want to answer that. So the push towards increasing enrollment, but there might be partially overlapping or competing interests or topics.
I think some of that work just needs to have a lot of discussion amongst various faculties and amongst the deans in the various faculties as well. And if there's opportunities whereby we could increase our enrollment in a particular program that might support several faculties, where those faculties will gain some of the revenues for the courses that they teach, et cetera, that will be an important win for all of the faculties or all the faculties that are particularly involved. We still have to work out all of those arrangements and who will teach what and what the benefit will be for each of the faculties or departments. And that's something that we still have to work out. But at the moment, we're just doing all that other background work that relates to how many students could we increase our enrollments by, and what would attract students to take a more generic course in health sciences, let's say, or other kinds of undergraduate programs. And because there's no point in building a program if no one's going to come. So we really need to know if we're going to attract students to those programs. Then we can work out who's going to teach what and how we would do that.
Really good point, to meet the needs of the communities.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. The next question relates to that area as well. And we all know that there's an increasing need for healthcare professionals in rural locations in Alberta and other rural communities actually across the country. And so the question is, has the leadership of the college considered rural as one of the priority areas?
Yes, we have had some very preliminary discussions about that. There is a very important rural physicians, I think it was initially called, network that nursing and other faculties have joined in recent years to give placement opportunities for our students, learning opportunities for our interdisciplinary students in rural settings. And it's been highly successful because many of those rural settings have also wanted then to hire our graduates. I think this is an area that we can continue to expand, especially given the geography of Alberta. And we need, and we keep hearing from AHS how they're having trouble recruiting, and they want to recruit all of our graduates for rural areas as well. So we may as well give our students a taste of what it's like to work in the rural communities, which is highly rewarding.
Thank you. And also recruitment from rural communities as well, another priority area. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. The next question, there's been a lot of discussion about the offices, and the next question is specifically about the Office of Education. And the question is, what will be the role of the Office of Education at the college level?
The role of the Office of Education will be primarily to provide administrative support services to the faculties. And as I indicated earlier, it will be around student advising, some programming kinds of questions, academic integrity questions, as well as some of the interdisciplinary work, such as I mentioned, that was formerly under HCIRC. So as we work through what kinds of programming would multiple faculties within our college need, and that could relate to anatomy, physiology, stats, knowledge translation, leadership, a variety of programs in that regard, or courses in that regard. They could be coordinated and offered through to all of the students, or most of the students within the college. And so that will increase our interdisciplinarity as well. So those are some of the key roles that the Office of Education would focus on.
Again, the common types of courses or delivery across the faculties, with the discipline specific within the faculties.
Yes.
I think the other one we talked about as well was systematic reviews. That's another example.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. Yes, systematic reviews is another big one that students are always asking for that. And several of our faculties are offering those courses for primarily graduate students, but could be some undergraduate honor students as well. And so that's another important example.
The next question is a quick one. It says, a lot of information has been shared. Thank you. Is it possible to have the slide shared?
We will look at the slides, but this whole Zoom town hall is being recorded, and I believe it will be on the website as well.
We've got a couple of questions coming up now about EDI. The first one asks, will the EDI office only be focused on recruitment of staff and students, or will there be ways to improve the experience of diverse individuals at the faculty? For example, there are issues with experience of Black students across the health science faculty, which I think the EDI office can help move forward some of these agendas. So, question about EDI and what its focus will be at the college level.
It will be, it's a really good question. It will be in all aspects of equity, diversity, and inclusion. And certainly Black scholars and Black students have been highlighted most recently as an area that the university needs to do additional work in. And so that will certainly be part of it, but it truly will be all cultures, quite a diversity of cultures. We have students from many countries around the world who have identified that there are some issues in terms of their experiences as compared to other students. So we really want to ensure that we create a culture of EDI acceptance and being allies and nurturing others. So it will be a very broad approach, I believe.
Thank you. The next question actually relates to that one as well. A bit more specific though. It says, will EDI and Indigenous be streamlined to function across the college versus at the faculty level? So asking kind of what activities in EDI and Indigenous would take place at a college level versus at a faculty level.
Again, a really good question, and it's something that we don't have an answer to yet. I would see that there would be some aspects of both. I think, for example, there would be common experiences that we would want to foster or ensure that we prevent for Indigenous students who are in any faculty, but there may be additional opportunities for, say, Indigenous students in medicine to come together, or Indigenous students in another faculty to have specific opportunities related to their discipline. But I think across the college, we have significant opportunities there where we can have programming that upholds all of those students.
And across the university as well.
And across the university will be part of the planning campus-wide.
The next question focuses on research and research admin. And the question is, by what avenues can researchers help guide the research admin needs and graduate student training needs? In other words, how will the high-level individuals in the committees described ensure inclusion of college members? So I think it's both about trying
to grasp.
Yeah, I think it's both about in seeking input into the structure of research admin at a college level. How will that take place? And how will members of the college be engaged and involved in that, in those planning and decisions of research admin at the college level?
Well, I would say to begin with, we do have our research working group at the college, which includes representatives primarily like associate deans of research, vice deans of research, department representatives, et cetera, who themselves are gathering perspectives and recommendations from their colleagues and bringing that forward, plus from their own experience. So we have many avenues for individual input and into some of these recommendations. And as well as we hear those recommendations at the Council of Deans, we can then decide to take that back and get further information if we need it. So I think there are many opportunities.
Sounds good, thank you. Getting lots of really good questions. I don't think we'll be able to get to them all, but we will be able to respond and get the answers back. We do have one, a bit of a different one that speaks about finances and budget. And the question is, what degree of financial autonomy can units and faculties expect in this model compared to now? So what sort of budgetary controls will there be for faculties in the future as compared to what they are now, and units and faculties?
I think the budgetary responsibilities will be the same depth as what they have been in the past. However, they may be somewhat more focused in the future for faculties and departments related primarily to the academic mission. So with the SET transformation, the budgets of HR, finance, and all of the other admin streams have been somewhat augmented in central and have been reduced in the faculties. So that's what I mean by the faculties probably having less breadth in their budgets, but they will have all the depth that they had in terms of academic positions and that relate to professorial positions, teaching professor positions, and the dedicated support for those specifically, even if they don't have the others. So there is opportunity and for growth in that area, particularly as we have enrollment growth. Enrollment will drive additional dollars, which will drive additional professors. And that's one of the key things that the university really wants to see, and the college is very much in support of that.
Thank you, Greta. Again, there are a number of questions here and we will get responses back to you, but I thought this was a really good one to end up with, because people have really appreciated the opportunity for this town hall. And so the question is, will future town halls be scheduled to continue providing updates as these become available?
Absolutely. That's the easiest question to answer. We will definitely have more, and we don't know yet how often and what the core content may be, but there may be the opportunity to have a specific topic that we want to talk about, that we want to flesh out further and share information and get feedback. And so we're happy to do that.
Right. And again, a number of other questions, and we will get responses back to individuals. I'll just hand it back to you, Greta, to finish us off here today.
All right. Well, I'd really like to thank everyone for your dedicated time and attention and your really good questions. And that just shows how much interest and passion that each of you have for the work at the college and at the university, I meant to say. And so I wish you well, hope you have a really good week, and I thank you all for participating.